Do-do-'s a good one for today. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Welcome to the show. My name is Dean. Happy Friday, everybody. Nice little Friday for you. Nice little Friday for that ass, as they say. That's some of the 90s coming out of me. Little Friday for that ass. Busy show for you today, too. Welcome, Lock Lacrosse, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton, at Lock Lacrosse on Twitter. Ryan Lindley will be by in just a little bit for the Sheeple Shepherd podcast. He's just finishing up a few things. Caryma Sa'd is going to be here coming up in a few minutes. She was arrested by Doug Ford yesterday violently as she tried to attend an event that she had an invite and confirmed invite for, by the way. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your internet bills because you got fucked by Trudeau yesterday too, by the way, like absolutely hammered. You took it. I hope you enjoy it. We've got two major political issues on. We got major political issues on here. We got internet political issues, federal government. We've got political violence issues with the provincial government. We're talking government today, and I fucking hate it. So at least we'll try and have some fun with it, Locke.
We've got lots of money in this country. We shouldn't be concerned about our internet, our cable costs, and our cell phone companies. You're right. I'm not going to use the word. I'll just
fisting us. Fisting us.
The action.
Yeah, happened yesterday. They released a statement, and they're like, government released a statement, and they do one of these. This is going to be good. Trust us. We're going to give Bell and Rogers full control over the internet.
You can trust these companies to adjust their prices to a fair market value.
Yeah. And we promise. They're like, we promise they won't fuck you guys anymore. And we're like, hey, can you put it in paper? And they're like, no.
We basically just told them, set the prices where you think it's fair.
Yeah.
And we'll trust you.
Yeah.
Right?
Telcos in Canada.
Because we think you're the best judge for what the Canadian public should pay for their cable, for their entertainment, for their cell phones, for their internet connections. We're going to let you decide that.
Right.
Because it's in your best interest. And we want to make sure that you make enough money so that you can pay people to pay us off so we stay in power for years.
Bingo. There you go. So we'll talk about that with Professor Michael Geist and Peter Nowak from Tech Savvy today. Well, they've been limbering up too. I talked to Geist and Nowak this morning, and they're like, "Yeah, we've been doing calisthenics all morning." Anyway, it's entirely fucked, and lots to get to. We're going to talk about the Oilers going through last night on a miracle goal from Connor McDavid, which pissed me off, and how Lachlan is trolling every single Leaf fan today, getting Austin Matthews getting out of town trending, which was, by the way, maybe one of the most solid troll jobs I've ever seen. It was very low key, extremely low key.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
That was not a troll job.
It was a troll job.
People know how well connected I am in this market.
Anyway.
There's people that work for the Oilers that don't make any decisions without calling or checking in with me first. And I just happened to hear a rumor that Austin Matthews is tired of playing in Toronto. There's a lot of pressure on him. He feels like he could be way more successful in a market like Edmonton. Him and McDavid are friends, he's even willing to actually sacrifice some pay to come here to play for winners.
Yes, you lied. You're to play for winners. You got the fucking conference final and you're winners. It's the best. But I love what you did to Leaf Nation because it's trending today. Fucking out of Edmonton, too, by the way. It's like the win wasn't enough. You had to go all in on Leaf fans, too, is the best. But I don't want to start there. Where I want to start is with a very good friend of mine, friend of yours. She's a gonzo journalist. She's a satirist. She's a cartoonist. She's also a lawyer who graduated magna cum laude. Top of her class. Please welcome advocate, lawyer, my friend yours, and fucking sweet TV hair, Miss Caryma Sa'd, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's just say this, because I did not know this until like recently. When we say, because we always say that, graduate at the top of her class.
For real.
She actually was the top of the class. Like if you go back to her year and look at who graduated with what marks, her name is at the top.
Yes, that's true, isn't it?
Which
when you
is
graduated,
very confusing for me because of how dumb you are and how stupid the decisions you make in life are. Like you would think someone this smart would learn to stay fucking home.
Yeah, no. There's a difference between smart and courageous. Karima, how are you? And is it true? Did you graduate top of your class law school? Yes or no?
My first year of law school, I was the top of English common law. And then by third year, I just didn't give a fuck. So I was still in the top.
Now you know why we all work together. We have the same attitude and outlook on life. Like, I'd rather have a good time. Anyway, nice to see you. You look great. You look refreshed. You're at home. Yesterday, you lit the world on fire just trying to record a Doug Ford rally, trying to document and record. That was it. Document and record. You've been doing it for 2 years. We've got the videos, we've got the assets, we've got everything set up. We're going to tell the story today, but we're going to let you tell the story because it's your story. But let's start with how you're feeling after getting arrested by the premier for having a dissenting opinion on the job he does. Go ahead.
Isn't that a trip to just say out loud?
Right.
Yeah, I am still in the process of kind of understanding what has gone down. It's all a bit surreal. And I've been just inundated with reactions to this, such that I have to think about my own. But yeah, it wasn't fun being arrested. All things considered, it was a relatively short experience. And it's just, it's weird to think that in the final days before an election, which is where we're at, that this would be a decision made by a party. It's not
trying to get elected.
Yeah, it doesn't really reflect well on anyone to have a peaceful, non-violent, non-threatening person handcuffed outside an event that, was so poorly attended. Like, they could have used me as an extra body, at least, for the photos, possibly because they screwed up on the dates in the email. But in any event, yeah, I'm still reeling from it. But yeah, I'll be fine.
Well, I know you'll be fine because you're a fucking courageous hero is what you are. And I'll get to that kind of courage in just a second, but why don't we just kind of go through the process? So you get an email a couple of days ago, or as a tweet, as I understand it, right? Just a tweet inviting you to partake in this event, this Doug Ford rally down in beautiful Hamilton at the airport at the cargo jet hangar. And take it from there, because you were asked not to go in the last one for specific reasons. You were kind and said, okay, fuck, I'm going across the street. You show up to this one because you got an invite. You replied to the invite and you got an RSVP back saying, thanks, Karima, come on in. Here's the actual invite. Let me just throw this up on the old screen ski. This is from Graham Frisk, who's a venerable reporter in Brampton for Metroland newspapers. Great guy. She said she literally got confirmation email from the campaign thanking her for registering before she went in there. Low turnout expected. This is and hi, Karima. We've confirmed your attendance for the rally at the airport. Confirmed your attendance. There it is. Cargo Jet Airways Maintenance Facility, 9268 Airport Road, Mount Hope. There you go for the 27th, even though this says see you on the 26th. So they probably did that on purpose. Thank you for your steadfast support of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party. Now, so you show up, papers in hand, go.
So you printed out the invite?
Yeah. I printed out the invite just so there was no kind of question or confusion that I had one. But anyway, I arrive at the event. We're ushered into a parking lot by some volunteers, and then we are going on foot to this hangar where the event is supposed to take place. I have to pass by two people with, before we can go anywhere, and I tell them the truth, which is that I wasn't with anybody, and we were just there to attend the event. I make it into this parking lot area right before the hangar, and the Stephen Leachy body double beelined towards me and said the same stuff as from the previous rally.
How did he recognize you?
I know. I straightened my hair. I thought I was in disguise. But apparently,
they were tipped off. They're like, here comes the lady with the wrestling shirts and the glasses.
Yeah.
She looks explicitly recordy today. She might record more things than normal. I have that video. Can I play it for you? Right at the moment where this gentleman comes up to you. This is Doug Ford's head of security, Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Cool Guy. His name's Zach, as a matter of fact. He's an OPP officer. And I think he was part of the K9 unit.
There were pictures of a guy who looks very much like him, who also happens to be named Zach.
Okay.
So I think that is very possible, but I haven't definitively confirmed his identity.
Okay. Well, I have not either, but I can tell you that his name is Zach. That much I know. I know that he is the head of security, and I know that as soon as he saw you, he was on you like white on a brown person who's not supposed to be at a conservative rally.
Oh, there's a brown person here at this rally. What's wrong?
And it is it is the same. Whoa, we've got a color palette issue at this conservative rally. We got to do something about this now, everybody. But the interesting part is watching him, and I want everybody to take note. This is Karima getting in front of Doug Ford Security. This is Doug Ford Security. This dude named Zach who threatened you a couple of weeks ago with the same threats. And I want everybody to listen to the reasoning, because the reasoning itself is just bullshit. When Karima challenges him and just starts trying to have dialogue as to, hey, listen, I got this RSVP. I've been invited. I have registered. I'm totally fucking legit to be here. And the process with which he tries to tell you that you are not allowed to actually go into this Ford rally is extremely eye-opening when it comes to two things. One, what really is going on in those rooms if they don't want people like you in there recording. Two, this is political oppression, and it is happening in our country, and it happened to Karima yesterday, and this is not the first time. We'll get to a bunch of those videos as we talk about it, but this is the start of Karima's interaction prior to her getting arrested and handcuffed for trespassing. We'll get to that as well. Watch this.
We know who you are. Like, we're not. You keep repeating that, but I don't understand what that means. You're all over Twitter. Like, we know what's going on. So is this suppression of political dissent? Because I'm not here to protest. I'm not here to protest. I'm here to attend the event. The property line is this road for the owner of this property. Okay, so we're going to ask you to leave. Precisely is trespassing me. Can I get a written notice of trespass, please? That's not how it works. I would like that. That's not how it works. Who is trespassing? You're trespassing right now.
Let me just stop you right there. This guy's a fucking cop doing paid duty for a few extra bucks. He's telling a lawyer how the Trespass Ontario Act works. Are we noticing that? Like, and keep in mind, Karima is a housing and tenant lawyer. Like she's fucking, and this guy, and then when she says, hey, can I get a written notice? He says, it's not how this works. And I don't even know how you're not saying, yeah, it is how it works, you dumb fuck, but you're not, which is nice because you held your steel. But just let me point that out. So two things. We know who you are. We know you're on Twitter. We know what you're doing. That's it. That was the excuse. Let's watch the rest.
Who is trespassing me? Who has the authority here to trespass me? And on what basis?
I do.
What's your name?
Doesn't matter what my name is.
That's what
I have authority. I have authority by the owners of the property. So please leave. And if
I'm
you're not
gonna.
listen,
Can I ask
we'll
speak to your supervisor?
I am the guy you need to talk to.
You don't look like
I'm the guy
here.
Who do you want to talk to?
I don't know. Who's above you?
Nobody.
Who's going to
This is my
explain this
job to ask
RSVP
you
to
to
me?
leave.
Who's going to explain this RSVP to me?
It's not real. So
I have an email from Doug Ford. It's from dougford@ontariopc.ca. Are you saying that that's not a real email address?
I'm just going to ask you to leave off the property. Hamilton,
were gonna
we'll get him. Yeah, I just spoke to them. So.
Okay. I would like to speak with them as well because I
want
really
to talk to the police.
Absolutely, I want to talk to the police.
See how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. He says,
Didn't go
okay.
great. It didn't go great.
Can I say one thing? I'm glad we're using more appropriate words today on the podcast. This does feel a bit more like oppression than tyranny. Last night I heard you on the Twitter Spaces. This is political tyranny.
I never said that. I never said that. I was trying to get James. I asked James Bowie, who is Karima's lawyer in this situation. He's a famed Ottawa attorney, and he saw the whole thing, and he's like, I got you. And so we had him on the thing, and I never screamed political tyranny. But this is political oppression. Linz joins us as well. Ryan Lindley, thanks, Ryan. This is political oppression. So what describe kind of your take on that first part, Karima, because you were in it and you were there.
Yeah. So at that point, I was waiting for an answer. I think that at the very least, having sat in an Uber from Toronto to Hamilton, I was entitled to know why I wasn't allowed in and on whose directive that who made that decision. And as you can see, he did repeat himself a fair bit and didn't have any of those answers.
Well, because he's an idiot. The problem that you have here is that they don't hire geniuses to keep people out of places. They hire idiots, and that guy's a fucking idiot. And excuse my language.
Does he understand
he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And he's telling a lawyer how the law fucking works. That's the most amazing part to me, is that this guy not only lied on behalf of Doug Ford, this guy not only has orders to not allow Karima into any of these events where Doug Ford is. For some unknown fucking reason, we all know what it is. It's the cartoons. So, and the commentary, which is like, hey, listen, Doug Ford needs to be accountable, which is all you ever say. Doug Ford does not want to be accountable, so your name was on that fucking list. Pretty simple. I mean, it's very fucking simple.
If they don't want you there, why did they send you an invite?
I mean, I RSVP'd, right?
Okay.
So I can't speculate as to how their registration system works. All I know is that I got an email from Doug Ford, which apparently he didn't write. I don't know. But I RSVP'd and I used my real name, so I don't see what the problem is. And why someone, if this was an issue, why they wouldn't reach out in advance.
Well, I'll tell you why. Again, I hate to come back to it, but it's a very simple explanation, because they're idiots.
Tyranny!
Like, they're just super fucking dumb. Like, they're trying to keep you out of a place. They send you an email to come to the place. You respond and go, hey, I'm on my way. And they're like, see you in a bit. And then you get there and they're like, fucking 911, come take her away. So anyway, I mean, that's just a fucking, not what,
like what you just described is a setup, though.
Yeah.
I had every reason to believe that I was allowed to be there. And
my God, they're so dumb, eh?
Is incompetent. Well, fuck. Let's get to the commentary of it after. So this progressed. You don't get an answer from him. The police show up. And he says it's your choice. Now, I want everybody to watch Karima's steely intestines on display here. Watch this.
So it's your choice.
No one has articulated a reason why I'm not allowed into this event. I have an RSVP, though.
Okay, you're under arrest.
No one's articulated.
I'm nervous for you. I'm nervous for
standing there in front of that fucking idiot who thinks he's like some kind of lawyer with a gun, and then another guy who's wearing like safari shorts with a gun and he's going, that's it, you're under arrest. Is a 5'3" brown woman who's a lawyer who's there and attending to an invite, and they're like, you got a choice. And she's like, well, can someone tell me what? Guys, you're fucking getting arrested.
You have a choice. You have a choice. You either get arrested or you get arrested.
Yeah, that's one choice. We're arresting a brown woman today, whether you fucking like it or not. So explain that to me. Like, go through that, because that is an unbelievable escalation, and it was for trespassing. They handcuffed you, which we'll get to, for trespassing. Okay, yeah. So go ahead. Explain that to me.
A summary conviction, a provincial offense, by the way, that people don't normally get arrested for.
Normally, when I get handcuffed, it's a drinking thing. Like, and I'm...
Yeah.
Or public nudity. Go ahead, Karima. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think that it was backwards. I think that what should have happened, if that was the line that I crossed, and by asking that question, it was deemed to be me refusing to leave, which I never refused to leave. I was just asking to understand why I was being asked to leave and by who, which are reasonable inquiries. But anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought because this is so fucked up. So I don't know what
No, I wanted your opinion on, like, you're asking these guys for stuff. The police show up and you're like, yeah, please get the police. They give you a choice and literally they don't even count to 3 before guys. That's it. I made your choice for you. I'm arresting you. So like, what's
let me park my 10 speed and I'm coming to arrest you.
What I would have expected was for them to issue me the ticket. He already had my name. He already had my date of birth. He could have said, okay, I'm now writing you up a ticket. Stand there and wait, and then handed me the ticket. And then if I refuse to leave, it's either you go and walk yourself voluntarily or you're going to go in the cruiser, right? Which, is still, that would still all be problematic in its own way. But it wasn't immediately handcuffed. Like there was no reason why I was cuffed. I'm not a physical threat to anybody. I wasn't acting in an aggressive way. In fact, I think I was pretty calm and measured. So, that's like, it was an escalation to sort of, it was reacting to energy that I wasn't putting out there. So I don't know like what motivated, I don't know what motivated that apart from ego.
Well, clearly you're a threat to national security.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can't believe they hadn't kettled you sooner, being as such a threat to national security that you are, and a threat to the premier by holding your phone there, to record things. I mean, God forbid. Let's get to the arrest, if we can. Okay, the actual arrest. That was the start of the arrest. Let's get to the actual arrest. Now, the reason why this is fascinating to me is because your arrest face is terrible.
I was a bit alarmed that this was happening.
Yeah, okay.
I would have shit my pants.
Yeah, well, you might have shit your pants before you got there, too, because of your age and how much you drank. But I will say this, is that your arrest face needs to be worked on. But I understand, because this is you basically popping your arrest cherry, so to speak. This is the first time you have ever been arrested. Is that correct?
For sure. I think it's probably the first time I've ever been touched by a police officer.
And touched not touched in a very aggressive way, right, by a guy who legitimately thinks he's like fucking some kind of government CIA agent. Gang. Yeah, do it like they do it in Hamilton on the Discovery Channel. Watch this. This is Karima getting arrested. The internet blew up. I think there's close to 1 million views on this thing. You've had, and we'll get to some of the supporters.
I almost nailed that. But mind you, I've got time. I had a prediction on mine. On how many views and stuff that you get. It's just huge, just like front page news all over the place. And people do not want to put this front page news. That's the incredible part. But watch this. This is Caryma getting arrested by Doug Ford's trespass thing, which he cooked up, and I'll explain that in a minute. Watch.
Come on, let her. You let her leave? Can she leave?
No, she had her opportunity.
This is the Hamilton police arresting me for political dissent.
When you're under arrest,
can I please give him my phone, please?
It's the fastest that runs this country.
Can I give him my phone?
No, you cannot.
It's a reflection of what Doug Ford.
Can I give him my phone, please?
No, you cannot.
Can I give him my phone, please?
What's Birdie doing there? What's Birdie's sign say?
Those are the environmental activists over there, I think.
Yeah, they got arrested too, but they didn't get thrown in the back of a cop car.
I thought they were going to.
No less than 5 armed policemen.
What is
5 armed policemen, 2 on either side of you. Because Doug Ford didn't want you in his rally in Hamilton. 5 Hamilton police officers arrested you and threw you in the back of a cop car. 5, including all of them, by the way, wearing very, very smart safari shorts.
I'm surprised they didn't put you on the handlebars or in the little buggy in the back.
Yeah. Did they not have a backpack or a bike, like on one of their nice bike baskets? They could have maybe put you.
You didn't get tasered, young woman.
That is so fucked to me. That is so fucked. Even like 24 hours later, this broke like some mid late afternoon yesterday. That is so fucked to me. You had an invite to go to a rally, and you get there, show them the invite. Some douchebag tells you that you're not allowed on the premises, and you have this thing in your hand. He tells you the thing you have in your hand is fake, and that you're all over Twitter, and they don't want you there at a political rally for the premier of the province, who's trying to become the premier of the province again. He, a woman of color who's a lawyer and an advocate for people who are marginalized, arrested by five white police officers.
Can we do a little role playing here?
Plus,
I want to.
Do you know? Hang on, just wait. Do you know how fucking powerful you are, Karima? Do you understand that? Like seriously, do you get how fucking scared this guy is of you at this point?
In that moment, I did not feel powerful at all. But now looking back on it, it seems that was an overreaction to a non-existent threat. And so what kind of threat is being perceived? I would come to the conclusion that there's something scary about me. And good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so here's something that I would like to just bandy around here for just a minute.
Yeah.
What's the conversation with the head of security, Zach, or whatever the hell his name is, and the police? Like that phone call, that's the role play that would be very interesting to me. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm here for Ford Nation. We're having a public rally.
Yeah.
And we've got somebody here that we don't like. Well, what is she doing?
Prearranged. Yeah. I'll explain it to you. Let me explain it to you real quick. Okay, this is prearranged.
What did they say to the police to convince the police that this is a threat and that she needs to be handcuffed and removed? Like even if the trespassing laws, which are legal, as a police officer, as somebody that is supposed to uphold the law, would you not go, okay, well, what did she do? Like, did she make a scene?
Are you talking about the human part of those 5 officers that carried Karima off in handcuffs? Yeah, it doesn't exist with those people because those guys are too dumb, apparently. But Karima, can you like, because this is prearranged, right? Like you do know that this is all prearranged to the point where there's a great thread by a gentleman that was done the other day that basically, and Ryan, you brought this up. This is an authorization to act under the Trespass to Property Act. And it was signed previous to the event, as it was downtown where those nurses got their asses kicked, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, where a progressive Conservative Party of Ontario member named Martina McLaren authorized the Ontario Provincial Police and the Hamilton Police to enforce the Trespass to Property Act. Now, this is a little fucking trick that Doug Ford and his buddies came up with, and it's an interesting trick because what it does is it empowers Doug and anybody who's associated with him to treat people like Karima with extreme physical prejudice, to physically remove them from anything and anywhere, and then to collude with the police when talking about it, which enables them to paint Karima as a protester, which indeed happened yesterday. Second that she got arrested, Hamilton police issued this. Hamilton police arrested a protester at John C. Munro Hamilton International Airport after the individual refused to leave private property. That is not true. It's not true on 2 levels. She's not a protester, and she did not refuse to leave. She was saying, I'm going to leave, but can you please find someone that can explain this to me? So they just fucking arrested her. We showed you the video. The individual was transported off the property, immediately released with a trespass ticket. And then when I actually, because you could click on the link, and I'd be very interested to see what that fucking link says. Here's what it says. And this is really, and by the way, they got ratioed to like Middle Earth yesterday.
Hard.
Like huge. Like 1,000 people ratioed them, 178 liked it because they're idiots.
Well,
but this was the actual.
Stupid.
Well, they're fucking idiots.
What are you doing? You gotta.
let me finish. Let me get through this. Hamilton police. arrested a protester at Hamilton Airport. This was the release. Hamilton police arrested a 33-year-old female. Your birthday was just the other day. Happy birthday, by the way, kid.
Thank you.
Trespassing after protested it. Thursday, May 26, approximately 5:30 p.m. Premier Doug Ford attended the airport on a campaign stop. A protest subsequently formed on the premises. Is that a lie?
It has nothing to do with me.
No, zero. But they've tied you into it because there were some old ladies protesting like the loss of flower space in their backyards, and I'm not kidding you.
Yep.
And they were removed onto private property, blocking the road to the cargo jet facility. So they're insinuating that you were blocking the road to the cargo jet facility. Is that correct?
That is not at all correct. No.
So the Hamilton police are absolutely 100% lying in this press release, correct? Am I assuming that?
That is a falsehood.
That is a falsehood. So the Hamilton police are lying about a lawyer and an advocate and painting her as a protester who was blocking the entrance to Doug Ford's. Dude, we showed you the fucking video. They let her in until she got to the door when Dickhead comes out and he's like, you can't be in here because you're on Twitter and we don't like you, which is effectively exactly what he said. And then he had her fucking arrested. So now here's where it gets interesting. Ryan, you said this. The individual was transported off the property, immediately released like wildlife. Congratulations. Ryan, you said this yesterday. Where it gets interesting is the candidate for that area is a big swinging dick on the Hamilton Police Board, correct?
He's the vice chair of the Hamilton Police Services Board. He's in actually the airport does fall in the Glanbrook area, but it borders the Ancaster area where he's running, and the airport has always been a shared point for the both because it's such a big draw and it's right on the border. So yeah, the essentially the PC candidate is the vice chair of the Hamilton Police Service Board. Interesting, Karima? And it must not do anything for your hope in the thin blue line, huh?
I've been telling you guys.
I can't believe they did it's so ridiculous. I mean, okay, so the arrest is one thing. Here's the other thing that's worth mentioning. And again, I will, even though I get called a libtard all the time because I must have very progressive views. I'm a conservative. I'll say that out loud. This to me should terrify people that you're about to put somebody in control of your province, the biggest province in Canada, that doesn't have the courage or the wherewithal to deal with somebody that doesn't agree with what they're proposing. That's the thing that I think should worry everybody here. I mean, listen, Karima is going to sue the dick off these people, and that needs to happen, and that's sort of a separate part of it. But
see the slide grin on her face.
People are voting a man in who is scared to.
Oh, he's
deal
hurting
with
people.
conflict.
He's hurting people because he doesn't want them to affect his political fortune. He hurt Karima. He had you hurt yesterday, intentionally, with intent.
Yeah, my wrist is still like not normal. The cuffs were on pretty tight. You know, and for no reason. Like it was a provincial offense. You know, you don't get cuffed for a speeding ticket, right? So that's I think Lachlan, you're absolutely right. That sort of fear of critique and being unable to engage with dissenting viewpoints, and then resorting to not just physical violence, but physical violence enforced by the state to achieve that end it should be concerning to everybody. And you know, there's lots of comparisons being thrown around to the response to the occupation convoy in Ottawa. I think that there's, you know, a lot to discuss and unpack there. And I'm not one who ever called for heavy-handed police enforcement there either. So I want to clear the record on that. You know, that's ultimately what happened and what came to pass. But we should be resorting to that as a last resort, utilizing state violence on people, on ordinary citizens. But I wasn't blocking anything. I wasn't disruptive. I hadn't even refused to leave. There was no clear refusal. If I was being perceived as annoying or petulant, like that's not a reason to exercise force.
Locke just brought up a really good point. You were invited. They sent you an invite request. You replied to it. You registered for the event. They sent you a confirmation of the fucking registry.
What about your cameraman? What happened? Was he threatened at all, or did they say anything to him?
No, he was fine. He wasn't allowed in without me, or period himself. So at points, Zachary kind of referred to you guys or whatever. But he didn't have any real interaction with the police. That was just me. And then
is your cameraman white?
He is. Yeah. Cameraman's white.
Exactly.
How do you get the brown girl?
One thing on that, like I will say, one of the candidates who was in, the hangar, was a woman of color. So I don't think that this was purely, that's a brown person.
No,
get rid of it. I don't think that
we're having fun with it.
We're breathing like pain into this for them, not you.
But I think it's still important to make that point because, I don't want to be disingenuous about it. I don't think it helps that I am who I am. I think that makes me look or perceived as more obstinate and more defiant and just more out of my depth or where I belong. But it really came down to sort of the substance of what it is that I say.
Yeah. A lot of support. You got a ton of it, and I want to get to some of it. Jane, always respectful, decent, never vulgar, like the anti-government fascists you're covering. I thought that was really nice. Our friend David chimed in as well. Frank Gunn, who's an AP journalist. Journalism is not a crime if a politician doesn't like questions being asked in the public. There's all the more reason to need the answers. This is from Sean O'Shea at Global as well. He's commenting, Toronto lawyer Karima Rules, whose video documented convoy protests arrested in Hamilton near Doug Ford rally. She says Sean was good enough to listen to this, the thing that we did last night. Excuse me, that's Jane. This is Moskrop. He says, if only Karima had shown up with a bouncy castle and a convoy of fascists, they'd have feted her and let her in build a shanty town. And a lot of this too, people like photoshopping your head on Doug Ford, using him as a snowboard to go down a hill as you take him into the oblivion. The support for you has been really astronomical, even this one. And I thought this one was phenomenal. This is from a guy named Rod Farva. At Rod Cax. He says, I have nothing to add to these photos. Draw your own conclusion. It has a photo of a guy who had a Trudeau treason, gallows with a noose, showing up at a Trudeau rally, and then, which he was allowed to do, standing next to cops that were just watching him. And then there's you getting arrested by one for asking why you can't come into an event that you were actually invited to. The hypocrisy is truly outstanding. Like it's fucking, it's incredible when you add imagery to this whole thing. The imagery that I've seen specifically around you is very reminiscent and patterned, right? Like, think about what happened last week. Think about these nurses that got dummied by Doug Ford's people, right? Think about them laying on the ground after they did the exact same things, but only rougher. This male nurse is still, I believe, just got out of the hospital. Massive concussion. And these were the same guys utilizing the same Trespass to Property Act, which Doug Ford and his group use for this purpose. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they want. They don't want anybody untowards. And here's the fucking problem. And then, of course, we know what they did to Sean O'Shea last week from Global. And it was nice to see that Global had his back as well, kind of. But this is what you missed on the inside, because this is fascinating. Watch this. So you see, this is Doug Ford. He's shaking hands with these, and they want to make sure they got pictures of Doug Ford shaking hands with people of color on the inside. All of these people that you see in the hangar.
They arrested her as soon as he finished that handshake.
For assault.
That's true. He shook his hand, arrest her. But I'm going to share a little secret with you. You see how you got the bus there? It's very Trump-like. You have the hangar, the big, beautiful flag in the background, lots of nationalism, lots of white people, but there really aren't many people at all. I would say maybe there's about 100, 150. Now, this might come as a shock to you. This may come as a shock to people watching. These are closed events, all of them. The tweet that he puts out inviting people to them is a red herring. They don't want people to show up to this. And I know this for a fact. That's why they gave you the wrong dates. They mix up dates on purpose because they don't want people to show up. They put out these things like he's in Kitchener tonight. It is a closed event. And I'll tell you who's at this closed event because they were the same people that were at last night's event. Actors, some, I don't know how many. The majority are friends, families of candidates that they can trust in a closed setting so they can do these sweet hype videos.
Yes, sir.
Like killer hype videos for Doug Ford, and they can tell everybody he's getting it done and people can look energetic. It is it is an optical illusion, and all of those people had a prearranged date to show up on his behalf and hold these flags so they could get these Trump-like, weird as fuck Americana group shots of Doug talking to people and looking like everybody around him is so supportive. 70% of this province hates his fucking guts. That's why he does that. So are you surprised to learn that no one's invited these things, nonetheless you?
I don't know if surprised is the right word, but, it makes things make sense a little bit more. While also just giving me a deep sense of despair.
Yeah, more despair than when you were cuffed in front of a bunch of guys wearing safari pants? More despair than that?
See, that was undignified. I felt degraded by that. At least wear full pants.
We're not judging. We're not judging. I would have literally shit my pants. They wouldn't have put me in that cruiser.
Yeah, they would have got
like that. That was the scary part for me. That I'm like an officer of the court. I'm not out there trying to get arrested, and I don't think any way that I behaved warranted that. But I will try to make a tougher face next time.
I retweeted it.
Hang on just a second, because we got to let her go. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with the $65 ticket? What are you going to do? Are you going to go on the offensive legally? What are you going to do?
I'm for sure going to be contesting that ticket. And I think disclosure will be a lot of fun. And as far as sort of civil remedies that might be available, I'm going to explore some options there. Nobody read me my rights to counsel for the time that I was arrested. I think the video shows sort of a disproportionate use of force. There was no real reason for my cell phone to have been seized for that period of time. I got it back. But, there's a lot of stuff on there that I would have preferred if my cameraman just held on to my phone. And just like, if you look at the way that he yanks it, like that, that was unnecessary. So I'm going to explore some options.
Yeah. And it hurt. He hurt you. He just hurt you on purpose. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. And I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. And it bears, it bears all the way to the conversation. But I will say this, the courage you displayed yesterday is heroic. I know it's just part of the job for you. I wish everyone in this country had an ounce of the kind of virtue that you walk around with, ounce of the courage you walk around with, ounce of the values that you walk around with on a daily basis. This world would be a better place. Thanks, my friend. I'm glad you're okay, and I really appreciate you taking time today. I know you're busy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Good luck, Karima. Good to see you. I'm glad you're feeling better. She's got the shirt on, too. She got another wrestling shirt on, which means someone's going to eat it today. I'm just letting you know. Talk to you soon. That is Caryma Sa'd, ladies and gentlemen. I said in my quote tweet, I said, this is going to have 10,000 retweets and 1 million views within the next day, Ford Nation. You're an idiot, Doug. Is this what you get when someone doesn't agree with you, Cheesecake? You're a moron, Dougie. I was using all the nicknames. And the Hamilton police should be embarrassed by this. Just pathetic. And if you go to that tweet, that video that you showed, it was a tweet first. Yeah. It has 985,000 views, and we're not yet at 24 hours. It has about just over 2,500 retweets, just over 1,500 quote tweets, and it has 4,769 likes. So I was a little off on the retweets.
You were close.
But if you add up the retweets, the quote tweets, and the likes, we are over 10,000. Like, and that is awful press, isn't it?
The worst.
Like,
it's the worst press. And that's what I can't. Like, all he had to do was go, just let her in. But he didn't want her in there. Do you know why? Because they were making a fucking movie.
Yeah,
they were making a movie, and it would have messed up their movie. They don't want her in there. Why don't you just say that? Listen, these are all fake. Like, if they'd be in so much less trouble, and I would have still the same amount of zero respect for these guys if they said, listen, this is all fake. It's all fake. You can't come in here because we're making a movie that make it look like Doug Ford is cool, and he's uncool.
I would have had more respect for that if they were just straight up honest, saying, "Hey, listen, you're gonna fuck our shit up." So
you're gonna mess it up. Here. So you got to get it. We cannot have someone in here that isn't on the same page.
Scene.
Well, of course not. But they don't know that.
She documents everything. She goes away.
Well, they just don't know. She's gonna come back and write a mean cartoon, and that's not what they want.
Right, and he's softer than baby shit. So this is
what
the
an
MO.
Oh, so soft.
Yeah.
What a
great comment. We've got lots of soft to get to today. Please welcome back to the program two of my friends, really smart, bright guys, and they were affected greatly by yesterday, as were a lot of people. Please welcome to the program Dr. Michael Geist and Peter Nowak from Tech Savvy Solution. Ladies and gentlemen, good to see you guys. Nice to see you. We brought in both of you guys today because we had a bit of an issue yesterday. I know you guys saw it because I was on the phone with Peter last night, and not only was I on the phone with Peter last night, I was trying to wade through to the decision that the government made yesterday, basically to cap or I don't even know how you describe it. Effectively, they've taken wholesale internet rates and handed the ability to set those rates over to the big three. And Michael, you wrote a great piece about it on your website, michaelgeist.ca. You can go check it out. And of course, Peter did Tech Savvy. We've retweeted them both. If you go to both of their Twitter handles, you can check them out. But why don't we start with you, Professor Geist? You had a really strong opinion on the fact that status quo, that Canadians really lost out, and this government is not interested in bettering wholesale rates, making it easier for Canadians to be able to pay their internet and wireless bills.
Sure. And thanks for having me on again. It's really nice to be on together with Peter. I guess I would start by saying that we should back up just a little bit to say that, today was to be the day and is the day, in effect, that the government was going to reject an appeal to overturn a CRTC decision where it itself sort of changed its mind with respect to these rates, which sounds complicated, but at the end of the day, CRTC had established some rates for wholesale internet that were going to make things a bit more affordable. They then got pressured from the big three who were directly affected by this. They came back and said, we made some mistakes, and they reverted. That was then subject to an appeal, and the government is rejecting that appeal. And quite candidly, that's the real story. But that's not a great story if you're the Minister Champagne who's responsible for this. And so the story that the government tried to tell was, we're doing that, but we're also going to give a new direction to the CRTC about what we want it to do when it comes to issues around internet rates, wireless rates, the approach that it should be taking with respect to these telecom issues. And so that will make up in a sense for this other decision that we don't want you paying much attention to. But yet once you dug into what they're actually going to direct the CRTC, it sure read like more of the same. It was almost like you're doing a heck of a job, Scotty. Everything's all good. Just keep on keeping on.
Scotty, of course, Ian Scott, who's the chairman, who's not going to be given another term. Yeah. He was told that a while ago because some inappropriate meetings that Peter and his lovely group of folks over at Tech Savvy have brought up, meetings with Mirko Bibic, a bunch of different meetings and that are absolutely not allowed. I mean, we're going to get to the collusion or the seemingly collusive part of this in just a minute. But Peter, how do you describe what happened yesterday, and just kind of set the table for us, and then we'll put up Mr. Champagne's tweet, which makes it look like he did everybody a favor. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, again, like Michael said there, the rejection of the appeal, I mean, it's disappointing, it's dismaying, it's disgusting, it's you, whatever other D words you wanna assign to it. That's basically what it was. I think last time I was on here, I said, good news happens fast, bad news takes forever. So the government waited a full year to basically reject this appeal, which would have lowered internet rates for everybody immediately, like today, maybe not that fast, but very soon. They waited a full year to reject this, and you can't help but get this feeling like when you're going to deliver bad news to somebody, you have to figure out a way to sugarcoat it, and that's what this policy direction is. That they also packaged in with this rejection, and maybe the policy direction will result in some positive changes down the road. Who knows? Maybe it's still going to be debated. It has to receive approval. All that stuff could be months. Who knows? It's that old cliche. What is the old cliche? It's like two birds or a bird in hand. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush or something like that.
Yeah.
They could have lowered prices right away, improved competition right away by accepting that appeal and forcing the CRTC to go back to those old rates. And instead, they opted for the two in the bush, which may never come.
I think it's get two birds stoned at once.
Stoned at once, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely not it at all,
No?
actually. It's
Okay.
got nothing to do with it. And when it comes to like cliches, I love you so much. Not the guy I'm going to go to for a confirmation on a cliche. Just to let you know. So, but to describe what happened yesterday, the CRTC and even backing that up, Dr. Geis, the CRTC is an antiquated model, right? This antiquated model of governance when it comes to rules and regulations has been outdated for a very, very long time. So the government's trying to do a few things. They're trying to pass a few bills. C11, which is an act that basically says the CRTC might actually come after your tweets and your content, no matter who you are. So be careful. We'll get to that in a minute. Then C18, and then we've got this appeal, C18 in the Do No Harms bill. If you can you kind of describe what you see the liberal government trying to do? Are they trying to remake how content is governed, or are they trying to go out and assert themselves over and above what people are doing with content, news media, etc.? What is it that they're trying to accomplish here with all three of these things, including keeping wholesale rates high, minting Bell and Rogers and other companies to be able to, shut people like Peter and Tech Savvy out? But it seems like there's so much going on here, and to be able to kind of separate it, what do you see kind of shaking down in that hourglass?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I guess there is a lot going on. I suppose I would start by saying I think there's the telecom side and then there's the broadcast side, and I do see them as slightly different. On the telecom side, which we've just been talking about, it just seems to me that the government, a couple, perhaps coming out of COVID or just over the last number of years, ceased to take a position that we'd started to see from over a number of years, including by the Conservatives, which, identified affordable connectivity, whether wireless or broadband, as being a really core issue, a pocketbook issue for a lot of Canadians. And if that meant taking on the big telecom companies in order to find a way to make the prices more competitive, then so be it. In fact, they were pretty happy doing so. And this government at this stage no longer looks at the world that way. In fact, they don't want to be at odds with those large companies, the large telecom companies in particular. They have tended to take a really favorable approach with respect to those companies, and the implications for consumers are exactly as we're describing it. It just means that the ongoing expensive connectivity prices. Now, they needed, it feels like, a new villain, though, because if it wasn't going to be for them, Bell and Telus and Rogers, so to speak, they needed somebody else. And so that's become Google, YouTube, Facebook, and a range of the larger internet companies that are now, in a sense, taking the place as the new villains for this government and are driving where much of the regulation comes from. And so that's regulation, certainly, that's been focused, as you mentioned, C11, which is called the Online Streaming Act, reforms the Broadcasting Act, but we've had whole lot of, especially digital creators, coming forward and saying, hold on a second, this is going to create enormous problems for our sector. And yet the government, it's quite clear, never even bothered to take those kinds of issues into account. We've got C-18, which is the Online News Act, which wants the large platforms to pay not just to newspapers for the links to their content, but it wants to pay the companies like Bell for their radio stations, the CBC, all of these organizations to get paid, and not just for reproducing the news, but for links to the websites, for indexing the content in the search engine, for just a wide range of things that the government now says those are all the sorts of things that we'd like these companies to be forking over some money for, even though it's not clear at all why there's any value there that ought to be paid for.
So competitively, this is a major problem, not just for individuals that pay some of the highest rates in the world. Competitively, this is a problem for Peter, right? This is a problem for Tech Savvy. This is a problem for anybody who's trying to compete in that game. And that kind of news yesterday that you got, Peter, you and I had a conversation on the phone yesterday. It was gutting. It was gutting for Tech Savvy. It was gutting for anybody who's tried to help people get lower rates. You started this beautiful website, paylesstoconnect.ca. Still go and check it out. You can still email. I mean, I think this is an ongoing process, even though the decision was made. But let me just put this on the screen. This is the gentleman you were talking about, Dr. Geist, who is the one who is in charge of this. He's also in charge of the messaging. Peter, I wanted to get your opinion on how this has been framed for you, Canadians, and your business at Tech Savvy. Access to affordable internet and cell service is critical. That's why, as part of our ongoing efforts to make life more affordable for Canadians, we're introducing a strong policy direction that requires CRTC to focus on improving competition and supporting consumers. Everything that Dr. Geist has said is to the opposite of this, but whatever. The historic step, he says, will enhance wholesale internet access and competition, increase mobile wireless competition, improve consumer rights, speed up service, generate new infrastructure for universal access, build better regulations to support consumers. FP Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science, and Industry. That read like it's great news, Peter. So,
sure.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. Is my audio better now?
Yeah,
it's much better. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
Michael summed it up. It's pretty much that it's faith-based competition, we like to call it. It's all of that you just had on the screen, maybe down the road. But much of that could have been accomplished, again, just by overturning that CRTC decision. Competition would have been better. Prices would have been better. All of that. I know you guys want to go here, but I'm going to go there now, is because what's most upsetting to me is the fellow that we have already mentioned, Ian Scott, or I like to call him Scott Free now, because he's getting off scot free. He's been endorsed. His entire tenure has been endorsed. The government is essentially looking at that photo of him and Mirko Bibic in the bar having beers, something they should not be doing, and saying that's cool. So it's very upsetting. What happened yesterday is very upsetting. The fact that they're promising something better down the road, faith-based competition is what we call it.
What did it do to your company yesterday, Peter?
That's a good question. We're still digesting what this is all going to mean, what this is going to, how this is going to affect things going forward. One thing I can tell you is back when the CRTC did issue, or its decision when it reversed the 2019 rates, that was a year ago. At the time, the guys who run Tech Savvy, they put their pens to the paper and they figured stuff out and came up with plans. And I think there's been a situation where they've planned for the worst, and they kind of, what's that? I'm full of cliches today. It's something like plan for the worst, expect the best, or no, hope for the best.
Don't ask Lachlan. Don't ask Lachlan.
Hope for the best, expect the worst.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Go to where the puck isn't. I don't know. No, I mean, yeah. So that's still going to be that's still being digested, but like I said, the worst of this did happen last year, and we've kind of been living with that. But you look around, you look at the landscape. I think last time we talked about eBox in Quebec, the biggest independent internet provider in Quebec. just recently sold out to Bell because they couldn't cut it with these wholesale rates. Tech Savvy, when these rates came down, we had layoffs. We cut back on plans. We were going to get into the wireless business. We cut that. So it was a lot of things went out the window with these rates, and there's no opportunity for growth here.
Yeah, but they don't take it like that, Dr. Geis. Like that's like everything that we're talking about today, everything that you've kind of explained to us, everything that I know that I've read, said that basically what the government said yesterday is, listen, we're not dealing with this. We're going to change the CRTC and hope it works, and we'll let you know. Like, why go through the process then, right? If they could legitimately, as Peter said, with a stroke of a pen, just say, no, we're going to allow increased competition, which is going to, it's going to lead to, more jobs. It's going to lead to more infrastructure. It's going to lead to better customers. And if you haven't had customer service, like we all know about the customer service from some of the big guys where they you got to chase a guy around a little bit. They might hang up on you and you might call back. Tech Savvy is one of those companies where it's like, oh my God, it is so much more worth it to be able to, have someone pick up the phone, be a human being when you've got your trouble. All these things that go into what would make more competition better for Canadians, Dr. Geis.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. The government had an opportunity, both with the decision, but I would think even more so with respect to the continuing tenure of Ian Scott, as well as the new policy directive that they put out. And, obviously, they may have felt constrained on the decision. I think that there was room to have taken a more pro-competitive approach, but at a minimum, to kind of try to shunt that aside and dress up this policy direction as somehow solving the issues, when words like continue to do this or keep what you're doing in place pop up on a number of times with respect to the summary, sends the exact opposite message. It basically says that they are okay with Scott, with the approach that they've been taking. And it's not just that Scott has had beers with a senior Bell executive. It's that, Scott's approach with respect to consumer issues, really almost from the beginning of his tenure, has created enormous hostility with consumer groups. I can think of nothing more illustrative than that. Then the CRTC was undertaking a code for consumers, and the consumer groups boycotted the process because of the way the CRTC was handling that entire process. And Scott just kind of shrugged his shoulders and it's like, well, it's your choice to participate or not. If you're not even going to bring in the very groups that this is supposed to support and have them be part of that conversation and see that as a priority, what does that say about how you prioritize those kinds of consumer issues? So the government could say, oh yeah, we're really concerned with this consumer issue or that consumer issue, and we're now directing the CRTC to handle it. First, we've had a chair that hasn't really shown much interest in those issues at all. And to the extent to which they do think about it, a far more effective approach is to try to ensure that you've got real competition. You don't get the abusive sales tactics, or you're less likely to see those kind of abusive sales tactics in a truly competitive environment. It's only when you lose that competition that companies can get cocky, so to speak, and say, hey, we can do whatever we want. You don't really have much choice anymore. And the government, rather than going to those foundational issues, is instead, looking at some of the symptoms, dressing up some of these issues as real progress. When at the end of the day, it's just an enormous disappointment to see how ineffective they've been for the last number of years on these issues.
And can I just say before Locke, and I just want to say this, does anybody, do we all understand on this panel, Peter Nowak, Tech Savvy, Michael Geist, Professor, Lachlan Cross, Tech Wizard, Giant, Ryan Lindley, also excellent photographer and podcaster and a spy.
Chinese.
Does everybody here understand? Yeah. Does everybody here understand how someone gets on the board at the CRTC or ascends to the chairmanship of the Canadian Radio and Television Commission, Telecommunications Commission? Because I do.
Isn't it the same as like a senator? Like, aren't they like just appointed?
Kind of.
They just anointed.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of blesses them
correct.
in?
Yeah, kind of. But correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Geis. All of the positions, generally speaking, not all of them, majority of them, a good host of these positions, are appointments that are suggested to the heritage minister, or in this case, Mr. Champagne, that come from stakeholders in media, correct?
Well, there is an application process. There's no doubt that the stakeholders make their views known about the kind of candidates that they would like to see in place. There were rumors this week that, the next chair, the person that replaces Ian Scott, is likely to come from the broadcasting cultural sector. At least that's what Heritage would like to see, and Heritage is the one that will ultimately make that decision, which raises at least, well, there's a whole bunch of issues, but at least two of them is one, the very issues that we're talking about right now around affordability and telecom. You've got someone that's just not their priority at all for the next 5 years. And then around content more broadly, if you've got someone coming out of a sector that looks at the kind of legislation we were talking about regulating user content, about requiring payments for things like links, they see themselves in that role as essentially executing on that agenda. It's not someone who's going to take a hard stand and say there's something wrong with some of these policies. It's someone who believes that their mission is to ensure that that kind of legislation gets put into place, and that it's time to ensure that there are these kinds of payments or regulations.
Yeah, and to that extent, I'm sorry, Locke, I got to get this one in. I apologize, but to that extent, my point is this, and I think I think we all understand what I'm trying to say is that the media companies that benefited, because like when you look at something like this, you go, who lost, who won, right? Who lost? Tech savvy, 35 million Canadians, anybody else that wants to do internet stuff, right? That's pretty much it. Any wireless crew, anybody other than Bell, Rogers, Shaw, Quebec Orb, a couple other companies. Like the big cats all won, right? So the big cats that all won, when you look at them, and you can literally, which I'm doing in a post, and I've been working on it for a couple of weeks now, you can draw a straight line back to several different outlets that benefited from what happened with those wholesale rates yesterday, Dr. Geis. You literally can.
Yeah. Oh, I've been doing this long enough to know that there are no coincidences, and the kinds of things that you see happen, whether that's with some of the appointments, whether that's the policies that are adopted, whether that's the taking a look at the lobbyist registry and see where the meetings are taking place. This stuff doesn't just happen. We've got players that play long games, that are there that have the resources to play for a long game, and that have the ability to gain levels of access and influence that the individuals and individual companies that are smaller in size, that don't have the kind of revolving door that we've seen, that don't get the meetings in bars, they're the ones that often lose out. There's no doubt.
Comforting, eh, Peter?
So comforting.
Can I just jump in here quickly? Listen, I respect everybody's opinion on this panel, and I appreciate the fact that you jumped on here today. But it's Friday. My fridge is full of cold beer, and I'm going to choose to trust the government to do the right thing here.
Just to get out of this. No,
I
don't think that's a smart idea.
No, but and then that's like because to Dr. Geist's point, and Peter, who's sitting there, and he's he works for a company that's trying so hard to like employ people and pay taxes to the government that just hose them and all those things that go into it. I mean, this is just generally super disappointing. And then when you find out, for lack of a better term, and I don't mean to overstep my boundaries, legal boundaries, when you find out the game is effectively rigged, do you feel like the fighting is worth nothing? I don't, because I've got to be honest, I don't mind a good fight. But do you kind of like, where does that leave you as far as guys going, let's get energized to do a business plan for 2023?
That's a very good question, and these thoughts have been running through my mind, and I'm sure a lot of my colleagues' minds for the last day. We had this conversation yesterday. It's you try everything you can, and it still doesn't end up mattering. It kind of leaves you feeling empty and hopeless and frustrated. At the same time, it's kind of funny because I've been dealing with people on Twitter all week. Lots of people sharing their predictions as to what was going to happen with this decision yesterday. And there was a lot of people who were saying nothing's going to happen. No, government's not going to do anything, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, I think they were pretty much right. Mm-hmm. But, I think you get to the point where we live in a democracy. And the fact of the matter is that doing something starts with the individual. And I don't know, it's naive. Maybe it's naive, but I believe that something will happen if enough people demand that it's done. Again, maybe that's naivety, but that's, what other way can you choose to live, I guess?
Can I just put like it's rhetorical, but the CRTC was formed in like 1968, and what is the original reason for what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to protect Canadians, correct? They were supposed to shield us from things. They were supposed to protect
the
us,
US.
and they were supposed to do stuff better for Canadians and make. It
was to enforce the service portion of the licenses that they gave out. That was what they're supposed to do.
And it evolved to where we are now, where they're literally a gatekeeper of
big media,
oligopolies, and it's disgusting. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I was one of those. I was the same as you. I had that glimmer of hope when this campaign started, and we jumped on to try and help. That, you know what, this just makes total sense. It doesn't cost the government a penny. How the fuck can they say no? And here we are.
And here's the thing: how did they not want all that goodwill?
That's what I mean.
Like, from voters. Like, that's what blows my mind, Peter. Michael, blows my mind is that there is so much goodwill equity in saying, you know what, we're going to hold these people accountable. We're going to lower your rates for all Canadians. And Justin Trudeau could stand there and go, give me all your praise, give me all your votes, because I'm the guy. And he didn't do that yesterday, which speaks to probably some of the collusion that's going on and how important it is that this guy works with in this Liberal government, which, by the way, a lot of we sit and talk about conservatives. We sit and talk about, the other side. But I mean, there's a very serious problem when it comes to the relationships between government agencies and this government and certain media entities in this country. And I'm not just talking media, I'm talking other businesses too, but this is where I'm concerned, right? Because that concern bleeds into other things. What else are they not telling us? What else are they hiding? All those other things that go with cozy relationships with politicians and people that control what we see and hear. On top of the rates, I mean, there was an opportunity there to separate government from what this is, and they decided not to take it. Like, Dr. Geis, I do not understand that.
Really hard to believe,
isn't it? Yeah,
it's really not an everyman's leader, and he's not here for the public.
Yeah. And we're in an affordability crisis, and this was an easy win. This is something that touches every single Canadian that pays a bill. Everybody pays for an internet.
Huge gimme.
Somewhere.
It was a huge gimme, Dr. Geis. It was a huge win for the Liberals, and they said, nah, we're not interested.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, bear in mind, they might get asked about this in the House of Commons, and they will tell you how prices have come down under the Liberal government. And so, there's an element of feeling, I suspect, like they can have their cake and eat it too on this. They can continue to claim that the stuff they've done has worked, and the stuff that they continue to do will work even more, ignoring the day-to-day reality that a lot of people face in terms of pricing, whether on internet or on wireless services. I'll say that I find their digital policies more broadly real, just inexplicable. I agree with you that on numerous issues, you would think that they're no-brainers from a political perspective. There was a story this week about children's education websites using kids' data and selling it to platforms, with the CBC Kids highlighted as one of the most egregious examples in the world.
Oh my God.
We could have a discussion about CBC and why it's engaged in this activity, but we can also talk about a government that, rather than dealing with privacy and data related concerns, that surely there are a lot of people concerned about how their information is getting collected, how it's being used, hasn't really even lifted a finger to address any of those issues. So they're quick to regulate user-generated content. They're quick to set up a framework that involves potential payments for links or being included in a search index. They're quick to proclaim that they're doing something on communications costs, even if we can see that largely it's just same old. But do something about actual people's privacy and personal information, about their kids' information being misused. That they're just nowhere to be seen. And I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, but then again, I guess I'm not a politician.
No, you are the world's foremost expert on that. So I'm going to side with you on it. I appreciate it. Please go
paying your mortgage.
Yeah. Please go to michaelgeist.ca. Please have a read of his latest article on this and the lip service that's being paid. Please go to Tech Savvy, and I want people to start switching over just to experience the customer service. Go to paylesstoconnect.ca. I want you to Google Tech Savvy. I want you to talk to them about the services they provide. I want everybody to support people that aren't in on the fix, that aren't in on this stuff, because that is how we do this together. To your point, Peter, do you give up? No. You dig in, you double down, and you support really good people that are trying to do good things for this country, trying to do good things for their employees. They're trying to help. They're trying to be part of the solution. This is not a solution-based government, and we don't live in a time when solution-based governments really exist. It's, solutions for relationships of executives. That's really what it is, and that's why we're here. So I want to thank everybody for taking time, and I know this was short notice for you, Dr. Geist, and I know it was for you too, Peter, but all the best to you both, and thank you very, very much for taking time to do this. Really appreciate it.
Peter, are you in Alberta?
No, I'm in Toronto.
No, I Tech Savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay. Oh, I got to look into that then.
We're all switching today.
That's it.
Thank you, Peter.
Good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
guys.
Peter. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
There you go. Appreciate it. Those are two guys doing a lot of work to try to help people, right? Peter and Dr. Geist are. I'll say this: guys like Geist don't come around very often. Where he's got that altruistic attitude. He's really bright, and he's nobody's man.
And
he's nobody's man.
And he can speak it so that everybody can understand it too. When you hear him or you read him, it's an easy read, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, now I understand that. It's because he makes it very easy for you to digest. So great follow on Twitter. Great.
I always try to make him, at least because he doesn't show a lot of emotion. I always try to get him to smile at least once. Did it again.
Yeah, and it's like, and when you can get a guy like that to have a good giggle and a laugh, you're like, fuck, I'm good at this job.
Yeah, look at me. It's all about Lachlan.
Fuck, am I good at? But I think that Geist is absolutely hysterical. I think he's
Yeah.
Super, super smart, great guy. Anyway, thanks to Peter, and I mean it. Move to Tech Savvy. Do it. Just do it. Rookie's here.
Speaking of super smart, great guys. Hi guys. How are you?
Okay, before we get to Rookie,
HD.
I just want to bring this up because Lachlan Cross had something trending this morning, and I want to bring it up.
Oh,
yeah. Let's start here. Let me get some back. Chris, can you get me some Austin Matthews background music too? That'd be great.
Absolutely, if I'm here.
Yeah, that'd be great. So Lachlan did this today, and it was a dick move, but I fucking loved it. Thank you. I put out this tweet this morning because, as you know, Edmonton moved on to the second round on a Connor McDavid overtime goal.
I think that bed is cutting you out. It's cutting you off.
Yeah, you got to bring that volume down there.
I'm working on it for the slow fade, boys. Jeez.
How's that? Is it better?
Crap.
Yeah. Super.
Is it better, everybody? Okay, we're good. Volume's good. Thank you.
Now
so,
we can hear you.
Oilers win yesterday. Let me get this tweet off for a second.
Yeah, they did.
Congratulations. I'm really excited. Very happy the Oilers won. Battle of Alberta. If I got to pick a team, it's always the Oilers. They are Canada's team, the only team left in the playoffs from Canada. Stanley Cup Conference Final. They're going to play the Avalanche. Don't expect them to win. Avalanche aren't through yet, but they will be. And now here's the fun part, is that it was, I don't know, 7 o'clock this morning. I woke up. Actually, I was up at 5:50, but I looked at my phone for the first time at 7 o'clock. Austin Matthews is trending on a day where the Oilers won, and McDavid's going to his first Western Conference Final. And I'm like, that's weird. That's totally weird.
Yeah. So
I clicked on the trend. I'm like, oh, see why he's trending. Who's the first tweet that comes up? Lachlan Cross. Quote, there are a lot of rumors in Edmonton right now that Austin Matthews wants out of Toronto and wants to be an Oiler. I can see it happening. He wants to win.
It's a rumor.
He wants to win. Austin wants to win.
He wants to get out of the first round at least.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way Lachlan Cross in Edmonton, as an homage to his Oilers winning, finally going into the third round of the playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. There's no way that his first tweet was like, fuck Austin Matthews. Fuck the Leafs. Sure enough, it was. And he doubled down. He's like, it's not hard to believe. Look what he's been through. He has to be wearing it on him. I would love to see Matthews in the oil drop and just hatred and vitriol from Leaf fans. Then he's like, hey guys, math is easy. He's motivated to leave. He'll clearly take a pay cut to play in Edmonton.
Did you get the one about?
And then this is my favorite one that you tweeted. And I'm like, we can't control rumors. I'm like, oh my God, he's on fire today. You can't stop. We can't control it. You started the fucking rumor, and it started to trend across the country. You're like, we can't control the rumors. You started the fucking rumor. No, dude, I loved it because anytime I see a Leaf fan go, fuck you. You know, the great part is that people thought it was happening. People legitimately thought Austin Matthews wanted to leave Toronto for Middle Earth. They're like this. That can't be true, guy. That's wrong. You're crazy. What would come back in a package? And I'm like, he's fucking pulling your leg. And guys are like, well, it's not funny.
Yeah.
It did. The best one. Somebody was like, "What's he going to play third line?" And I'm like, "No, that's Nuge's spot. Nuge is a better all-round player. I think we would put him on the fourth line. It bolsters scoring on the fourth line." I was going all morning.
And it was trending, and I'm like, and then I go back in the afternoon. I'm like, it wasn't you that got it trending, right? I go back in the afternoon, hit on Austin Matthews trending again. Sure enough, this was the first thing. I'm like, fuck, it was him. It was totally you.
So I was a bit confused by it too because it didn't have like an overwhelming amount of likes and retweets. But then Dean reminded me that there's the upvote button now on Twitter. So a bunch of people probably upvoted it because I even had a buddy who messaged me and was like, "Isn't this Dean's co-host? Like, what does he know?" And I'm like, I was like, "I'm working. Why are you phoning me at 2:00 in the afternoon?"
It was nothing
to ask about Austin Matthews, man.
Yeah, that was, and that was for, and I will say this, that was payback for the last like 6 years, where every time McDavid got punted from the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs, where like I would phone Locke, I'd be like, "It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. He's coming here." It's like, fuck you, man. Edmonton's a great city. He loves it here. I'm like, there's no way any player loves it there. The only reason Evander Kane is there is because if he wasn't there, he might be in jail. Like, that's the only reason he's there. It was jail or Edmonton, and he's like, I'll sign in Edmonton for the minimum of the minimum of the minimum. Oh my God. And look at that. He's off to
like a 1.9 mil or some crazy thing.
And here's the great part. You know what I was laughing at last night? Because one of your tweets, right after your tweet, it was Evander Kane. He's like, off to round 3. And I'm like, imagine being one of his teammates in San Jose, reading that. Fucking guy.
Yeah, no kidding, though. And then...
Because he was just a clock down there too, apparently.
At the same time, he's going on Fridays to grab his paycheck, and it's like $86 because Harrah's has guaranteed your wage here. The family court has guaranteed the wage here.
Child support payments here.
Support here. Here's your $86.
I was laughing the other day.
Your bankruptcy, your insolvency payments
here.
Game 4. The announcers come on and they start talking about Evander Kane flew home on his own because his girlfriend had a kid, and I'm just like, oh yeah, he's having kids out of wedlock.
Oh yeah.
Well, is he impregnated someone else now? Like he just had another kid? Well, fuck, why not? Right?
Why not?
I mean, look at tell me that's not like the least worrisome part about Evander Kane.
No shit.
Why not? You're in a lot of trouble, legal trouble, right? Okay, and you're broke. You owe $40 million owned by the mob $50 million.
Yeah.
Why not have another child?
Now's a good time to start another family. Let's do it.
You guys saw that video of him, one of the fans throwing money at him in the penalty box.
Big Calgary, yeah. Oh, did you guys see the beautiful young ladies behind the Oilers?
Oh my God, that's a troll job. That's a total troll job.
That's what I thought. So apparently, we found out that the Cowboys owner, the owner of the Cowboys,
Paul Vickers.
Yes, he put them there. Like he bought those seats and did it on purpose.
God.
So Cowboys is like this super. I think it's a casino and bar now.
You
like
think?
It's
you just named the owner. You're like Paul Vickers. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He owns the Cowboys casino.
Maybe I've been there once or twice.
When I first got into radio, he opened one up in Fort McMurray, and that's where I was. And he was like, "Hey, radio guys drink here for free." I'm like, "You're the best guy I ever met in my whole fucking life." So we would go in there and drink all the time, and all they did was hire girls like this to work there. And here's the thing: is that Paul would actually pay for their breast enhancements if they stayed there for 6 months as well. No word of a lie. That's a true story. Don't know if that would fly today, but hey, it was the 90s.
They do it in the States.
Same kind of deal. If I'm here at Harvard for 10 years, I get a ball reduction.
They're gonna stretch back your nuts.
So in Calgary, this happened. And these girls, Sack Jack, these girls work at a bar called Cowboys, and they all got rail seats behind Jay Woodcroft, who's the head coach. And if you remember, this happened in Dallas a couple of years ago, or actually a friend of mine was hired. She had enormous boobs, and she had to sit behind the Dallas head coach. It was super funny. Her name's Tay Stevens. She's a lovely lady, beat cancer, super funny. But these women were behind Jay Woodcroft the entire night. And I give him full credit because
he's having a blast too. They look like they're having fun,
having a great time. Like, it was kind of a thing. It was advertising for Cowboys, right? They got the hats on, they got the halter tops or whatever the fuck you call those things on, and they're dumping them out on national television because the girls look good and they look great. I didn't have a problem with that, but dude, I saw so many tweets from people yesterday. It was like, there's no place for this in a family sport. I'm like, yes, there is.
Yeah, watch some guy beat another guy's face to a pulp and to a bloody corner, and that's fine. But
I was laughing at it. I thought, and you know who noticed it? It wasn't even me. It was my wife. My wife was like, "Did you notice who's behind the coach?" And I'm like, "No,
I didn't notice it either until I saw your Instagram story." Actually,
yeah.
Players probably had no idea. Players were like, I have no idea.
Well, and that's I think that there was a distraction piece here. I'm thinking somebody was like, let's put a bunch of really hot young ladies wearing very tight shirts in behind a bunch of hockey players that are raging with testosterone, and let's see if it has an impact on their game. Didn't work, Flames, because
they won.
Your season is over.
But I will say this.
I'm sure the spotter,
Yeah, McDavid was lights out again yesterday. And someone that I remember thinking, I was watching something this morning.
1 point.
Calgary, but
the one that counted.
Pretty good point. It's overtime winner. And seesaw battle. Like I start watching the game, it's 2-0. All of a sudden, it's 2-2, and then all of a sudden, it's fucking. It was just a crazy game. Goal that was kicked in, disallowed by Calgary. Everybody's freaking out in Calgary about it. But the Oilers are through, and I couldn't be fucking happier. It feels like the '80s again. I'm awesome. I feel great about it. I would have been pissed if the Flames won, and I'm not. And I've got nothing against the Calgary Flames, but it's just the nostalgia of it and being an Oilers guy, and coming back from that. Yeah. They had a little run back in like early 2000. Remember when Ryan Smith and that group, Dwayne Rollison, took them to a final and they lost out.
Pronger.
Pronger was here. That was when his wife was like, "We're leaving. This place is shit. I hate Middle Earth."
You know how many times that happens? Like the hockey player gets here, they land, they're at the Edmonton airport. They shuttle him in. It takes an hour to get from the airport to downtown.
It's November.
It's November. And then the wife goes, you can stay here, but I'm going back. And just tell me when you get a trade. That happens more than you probably know.
Which is why Austin Matthews is not asking for
Lucic. That's why Lucic wanted out. And there was the Calgary thing was a compromise.
Was it really? So Lucic's wife is smart enough to understand, though, that Calgary is 3 hours south of Edmonton and basically the same weather. Is that correct?
I think
is she as smart as him?
Calgary.
Is that the problem here?
Calgary's a rip, though.
Calgary is fun.
Calgary's
it is
for
a
weekend.
Fun
Calgary
city.
Calgary's
way more fun partying than Edmonton, and this doesn't happen in Edmonton at all. Just so you know, it happens.
I would choose to live in Edmonton every day over Calgary.
That's a lie.
Someone
said, "Here's a job in Calgary," you would go in a second.
No, our ratio to douchebags is way lower in Edmonton. We have way less douchebags in Edmonton. It's a people thing.
You are aware most of the people from the convoy from Edmonton, right?
I'm talking douchebags. I'm talking hipsters. You fuckers, you keep bringing this up. And then next week you'll talk about how many Ram trucks you see driving around your neighborhood with flags on them. And I'm like, what? Or is most of Alberta still in Ontario? You're honestly you don't think you guys have a bunch of rednecks out there?
Yeah, but you're the one that has neighbors with Trump flags.
No. Yeah, we just don't have like as many fuck Trudeau flags in front of the house.
I have a neighbor that has a Trump flag.
No, you do.
I do.
I haven't seen one of those around here at all. That if someone flew one of those, dude, I'm telling you, if someone flew one of those around here, they'd be moving.
Community, no wonder.
It's true. Anyway, Chris Rook is here. I had some concern about him on the weekend.
Hi, Chris.
Why? What happened?
Yeah, I think I know where this is going. I agree.
What happened?
Well, Wookie, why don't you Why don't you explain why I'm concerned, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. The wife was away at a bachelorette weekend, so
that's how these all start.
Just so happened that the fellas all got together, and there's no off switch when the guys get together. We don't see each other as often as we'd like, so we have some fun, and there was some beverages had in Ryan's neck of the woods there in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And we had some fun, and there was a lot of drinks had.
In Hamilton.
And no, but I was nervous walking to the bar. I'll say that.
I would be too.
I was like, can we take an Uber? My friend's like, let's just walk. It's like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get stabbed, I think. But let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll call Ryan to come pick me up. And yeah, we had some, we shut down a street for a 100-yard dash because two of my buddies were thinking who was the faster one.
I saw that video.
And I have it.
Yeah.
And
let's watch it.
I got,
so you got shit-faced last weekend. Like extraordinarily shit-faced to the point where on Saturday morning we all got a text from you going, boys, I am fucking ruined and I gotta go golfing.
Correct.
Boys, I am fucked. I gotta go golfing today. And I'm like, how fucked were you? And this is the picture that you sent me. You're like, just so you know, I don't remember any of that. This picture is Chris with a cave splunking hat on his head, sitting on top of a fucking ladder, and he is so sweaty. He is the sweatiest man in all of Canada. And you don't remember any of this? Is that correct?
Correct. My wife actually sent me that photo.
Did she take the photo with her vodka soda as well?
She did not. That was like I told you in the private DM, Ryan. A couple of the
boys.
Hey
boys, it's a White Claw summer. We're gonna party.
Hey.
Yeah, that's the problem here.
You can tell the Toronto.
No, here's the problem.
Hamilton,
you got all the boys. Yeah, all the boys are out partying with peach vodka soda.
So I'll tell you though, I had a.
It's gonna be a rager.
I had a brunch.
I had a
brunch
I
the next
couldn't.
day.
I would have puked in the Uber. I wasn't going anywhere.
Did you? Yeah. Did you have a shanty after that?
Yeah.
Did you maybe roll
a
little
on their Uggs?
Yeah.
Listen, I can't speak for the others, but all I know is that I had a bottle of
a vodka cran. Did you guys have a couple crantini's before you went out?
Virgin
Can you put the picture back up?
Guys, let's get wrecked on crantini's and vodka peach soda tonight.
Can you put the photo back up?
The boys are getting back.
The boys are back.
Did you guys go to paint night?
Are those Lululemons? Those pants?
Did you guys have a wonderful time at Painter's Lounge?
Oh, you know what I love about this picture is that when I see this picture, I go, I wish I lived near Rook, because Rook is the guy I would be partying with every weekend, because that looks like my kind of friend. He's the guy that once you get 16 of those vodka coolers deep, someone convinces you to put a fucking
chocolate mask on, and then we all watch TV together.
Yeah, you watch what's that
This
called?
Is Us. Did you guys watch the finale of This Is Us that night?
Keeping Up with the Kardashians, actually.
With Harry Met Sally.
Hey, get together with the boys tonight, honey. We're going to rage with vodka soda, blood orange, by the way. That's the flavor. And we're going to watch This Is Us.
And beaches. I was pissed too. I'm with you, Lachlan. I was mad. He was in my neighborhood, didn't even call. And if I knew that was what happens, I wanted to be there.
I couldn't call because I wasn't coherent to call or remember to call.
Lynn's
you don't remember being on that ladder?
Real booze too.
No.
Yeah, I would have brought you some real liquor.
I had real liquor, and that's why I went up on the ladder, lads. The other boys.
What were you doing on
that?
Did your friends tell you what you were doing on the ladder? Like, why do you go to sit on the top of a ladder when you get back from the bar with a cave splunking hat on your head?
So we got back. Apparently, I disappeared into the house for 10 minutes and nobody knew where I was. I ordered pizza, came running out with the
facial
helmet, and asked them to get the tables, and then climbed up the ladder and was attempting
like
to
Dharma
jump
from
off,
Dharma and
off,
Greg when she
off
used to
the
sit
ladder
on coffee tables.
Onto the I'm not allowed to go out every weekend for this exact reason. You get creased like once a month, maybe. Like there's so much paperwork.
There's two Chris's. There's Chris, that's what we're getting now. And if you get real lucky when you go to Barcelona, you might meet Chris. Chris is the guy that's like, let's go. I don't care what it is. Let's go. Let's do some wasabi snooters. Let's You got some Coke, we'll inject some heroin. I don't even care. Give me whatever you got. Then we'll get some sardines and just relax on the beach. That's what he does. When he goes, right? That's why I was concerned about him, because there he is on top of the fucking ladder, wasted drinking girl drinks. And I'm like,
about him.
Wolf pack
with this guy.
Well, Lindsay basically said to me before our Jays game, and her exact words were, "Creus can't come out tonight. It's a weekday." And she's like, you have to drive down so you don't drink and get crazy with the guys. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I left at 10.
Doing that for me.
That's why I left at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Because I knew.
Then I gotta go
part.
get the car the next day.
Yeah, dude, that's always the worst day when you get the warning from your significant other. Like wait a second, I can do what I want. I don't have one of those. Never mind.
And now you don't drink. Go figure.
It's a shame. But when someone's like, "Are you sure
You're
you want
wasting
that? Are you
so
sure
much
you
of
want
your
that
life right now."
30th
Potential.
Kit Kat?" I'll be like, "Yes, I am. I'm very sure I want the 30th Kit Kat in this bag. I'm going to eat it." That's my way of rebelling now, because no one can tell
Lemon
me what
loaf.
to do. Yeah, that's right.
Higher lemon loaf.
So you're good though. You didn't like you're not, because I was concerned for you. I thought maybe you fell off the rails. I know you tried to get it together. You don't drink a lot anymore, and when you do, you go for it. And I was just concerned because you're on top of the ladder with a cave splitting hat and a nice spritzer.
I had a shower Caesar, and then took an Uber to the golf course because I didn't think I could drive.
Shower Caesar is an awesome move.
And my
You're
friends, I had to get an Uber Black because the clubs wouldn't fit into a regular Uber, and I showed up in a Yukon SUV, and the guys were like, "What the hell? What are you doing?" I'm like, I shouldn't have driven. So showed up to golf in the old Uber Black there. Boys.
Well, at least you know what? That's responsible. Good for you.
Yeah.
You were able to enjoy yourself and did it safely on that
I like
ladder.
that $300 move.
Yeah. Well, it's better than getting pulled over for, like, it's that or lose your license for 6 months and
Or
pay
kill
10
someone.
grand to get it back, or can kill someone maybe, right? Like, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's
But
a good
the
kid.
shower Caesars are the best. Like, that's the only way. And listen, I'm a big proponent of not putting that in yourself, but when you're hungover, what was the text I sent you after you go, "Boys, I'm fucked"?
Just
What
start
did I send you?
drinking.
The only way out is back in.
Yeah,
That's
just
what I
keep
said.
going.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
Bitter
good for you.
powder.
And I stunk like booze. It was a brewery showing up at the course.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
he called me in the
Ben.
morning and his eyes were like this. Oh, I can't
We have
see.
to play the video, the dash. It's funny. We got to play that video.
All right.
So-
And then I
I'll
sent you a locker room one.
I'll preface it with the fact that they were just measuring dicks at the bar, and they're like, I'm faster. No, I'm faster. So I'm like, enough, to the streets.
Do you have the video?
Yes, I do.
It's like
so
a
we
scene
gathered,
from Grease.
we gathered a bunch of people out
I sent
front,
you another
and
one. I sent you a DM on Twitter.
Is there a reason I can't see it?
Yeah, why is this black?
you couldn't see that?
No.
No, there's nothing on our side.
Nobody saw it. Nobody saw anything. I didn't see it. I didn't see a single thing.
Let me look into
That
it.
explains it though, because if you filmed that when you were wasted,
Yeah, it was
They were
probably
so fast you couldn't see them.
Tech
I
wizards on the right.
heard what sounded like galloping.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So where were you guys in town? Where did you guys go here?
Great question, Ryan. I'd love to answer that, but
All right. That was kind of what I was expecting from you.
They
So
were
good
in
for you. I'm
Hamilton.
glad.
all I remember is the music was like.
Hamilton.
That's all I remember.
You were fucked. All I remember is the music was drum and bass, guys. That's all I remember. Well, I'm glad you're
Good.
okay. Sorry, we can't see the video either.
You
Yeah.
can play the 40-yard dash the locker room did a couple years ago. It's pretty.
I can't strip.
Was that the one in the,
dude, we've been on for like an hour and 38 minutes. What do you think? I'm a tech wizard.
Yeah,
Is that the one
I
that
do.
was in the downstairs parking lot? In the
Yeah.
underground? Yeah, that's a great video.
it's a good
It's
room.
on their locker room.
You want to see? Go to
television
the
page.
locker room YouTube page. You can see a bunch
Yeah.
of fat guys running as fast as they can. It's really
Pretty
cool.
good.
Anyway,
I'm
I'm
the
glad
same
you're okay.
way though. I've always
40-yard
been.
dash.
Even with my hefty
22 seconds, Lock.
Always
My
okay.
hefty self, I was always fast on my feet.
You know what
You
has
have to
always
be in this
amazed me
town.
are those fat guys that are super fast and athletic.
That's-
Grant!
Where you're like, oh my god, yeah,
I'm the same.
Super
Grant is
fast,
a fat
super
guy that's
athletic.
athletic.
yeah.
Like super athletic. Like it's
Well,
insane.
It's because when they run downhill, like sure they're fast, but like where are they stopping? Because when they're going, it's like a
It's like
fullback
Lucic
coming
in the
at
corner.
Yeah, like you're not stopping. You're just running downhill.
Yeah, but I respect those guys. I respect the fat guys because when I was like super fat, I was like, I did not want to move fast just in case something moved after I moved. You know what I mean? Like your gut's like, and you don't want to like raise your hands too fast, and you don't want to run around. And you're like a lot of stuff going on when you're like fat. And then when you're a little less fat, you're like, I'm gonna try and run. But I see guys that can run that are fat, and I'm like, fuck, good for you, because I would never do that when I was super fat. But there are guys out there that are like super fast, super athletic, and they got like 80 extra pounds.
Yeah,
they're freaks.
I used to consolidate my movements, which was the hilarious part. Like, I'd be like, I know I have to go and pick. I left this in the car, but I also have to check the mail. I'm gonna do all that together. Like now, it's like things that you would overthink, so I didn't have to move so much. You know, it's like as long as I only have to go out there once, because I'm gonna be out of breath. I'm gonna get sweaty.
Yeah, that's right.
You know. Yeah. So now it's nice not having that anymore.
Exactly. What's that, Chris?
I just found out something else. I have a buddy that's watching, and he said you don't remember betting everybody $20 on the guy who was going to win the 40-yard dash outside, and I won $80, and then went back inside and bought a fishbowl for $69.99 in the bar,
and ended up on a ladder. That's shocking. Very shocking.
That's why it doesn't happen often. Like, there's reasons for this. I haven't looked at my visa bill yet. Literally. I haven't.
Don't show the wife. Don't show Linz. Do not show her.
You know. No. She knows who she married.
Yeah. I should tell you about the time I came back from England with 20 grand in strip joint charges. Not a great conversation.
We went to that. We went to that Blues Jays.
What's the spearmint rhino? I'm like.
That was a tough night for me because there was a couple honey from the steakhouse, and then I had like 4 or 5 trips to the bar, and then some drinks afterwards.
I did the same thing.
That was a rough night.
I looked at the online after, and I went, "Oh, who did that?"
Expensive evening.
I was thinking about I was going to call the fraud department. Somebody stole my card.
I would have done it anyway. I would have done it anyway. I didn't go to the game. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Well, Chris, hang in there, dude. I'm glad you're all right.
I'll bank a Crius for you, Lachlan. I'll save
What's
one in the
going
back
on this
pocket.
weekend? You got any plans this weekend? You got any big ones?
Get
absolutely
fucked
not.
up and jump off tables or jump off ladders?
Absolutely not. Unless I can, not back to back.
I'm 45 minutes away from you. Maybe I'll bring a traveler to your house.
Holy fuck.
Holy fuck, boys.
I'll end up on the escarpment naked, face down, and not know how I got there.
I got one brewing in me. I haven't had like a good runaway drunk. Like I'm consistently drunk at nights, but I mean I'm talking about a runaway.
Yeah,
he's watching the most important Oilers game in like 30 years last night.
Yeah.
I call him this morning, I'm like, what a game. He's like, I fell asleep.
I passed out.
Wife woke me up. She's like, they won. And I'm like, yeah. And then I went back to bed.
I have 6 cans sitting next to the six, and I dummied a half bottle of wine too.
Yeah, before the game, I was talking to you, and you were crushing red wine in the kitchen before he and his wife enjoyed some fish tacos. By the way,
I explained the fish tacos
today.
That's really funny because the last time I talked to Lachlan on a video call, he was drinking red wine as well.
Was he eating fish tacos? I made fun of him for that as well. No, there's no serious person eats fish tacos. Those aren't tacos.
They were actually really tasty.
Red wine makes me sleepy. That's why you probably fell asleep.
No, it was the 6 beer that the red wine.
43 beers. Yeah.
Sour mash, baby. It's go time.
After the half bottle.
Well, good. You go get runaway drunk tonight. Have a great time. That is Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. That is my friend Chris Rook. Don't worry about his Twitter handle. That is also my friend Chris Rook drinking lady drinks on a ladder. So follow him on Twitter if you can find him. Ryan Lindley, Sheeple Shepherd Podcast. You can find him there. Go and download his podcast.
We're going caving, boys.
We're going splunking.
I am Frank
We're
the
going to go
Tank.
find some essential oils.
He is Frank the Tank.
Frank.
And Ryan Lindley, you can follow him on Twitter as well. Thanks, boys. Thanks for a great week.
Snoop-a-loop.
Thanks, guys.
Still open?
Honey, can we go to KFC? It's still open.
It's still open.
See you, Ryan. See you, Chris.
Have a great weekend, boys. Love you.
You too, guys. Take care. There you go, lads. That's it for us. Have a great day. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Thanks to Karima for joining us. Thanks to our friend Michael Geist, Professor Geist, and of course Peter Nowak from Tech Savvy. And I meant what I said. Switch to Tech Savvy. These companies are mobbed up, man. It's time that you ask for better rates by just taking your business away from them. And I'm fucking serious. Do that. I'll be doing it. You should as well. Pay less to connect.ca. Say something about those rates. And make sure you send our friends over at the Hamilton Police Department a good hello about the lie that they told about Karima being a protester and being lied. Just fucking lied. Hey, Hamilton cops, whoever put that out, total lie. And you're on the clock now, too, because Karima's a lawyer and she is lawyered up with all the best socially aware lawyers on the planet behind her. You're going to get it. So is Doug. So is his party. So are the people that made it possible for that woman to get arrested yesterday. She's going to eat your faces. And I can't wait. I got a front row seat. And let me remind everybody, too. This election is coming up. I would never tell anybody how to vote. I never do. Never, never, never. Just go vote. Go vote. Have your say. Go have your say. Because here's the thing that these guys count on. All politicians who want to win. They're counting on everyone staying home so they can just activate that portion that goes and vote for them. Don't do that. Exercise your democratic right of voting so you can have part of the decision-making process. It's super simple. And it's really interesting, too, because it works. And that's how you take all that stuff back. That's how you cut through all the bullshit on social media. That's how you cut through all the stupid rallies that are not about rallies. That's how you cut through all the lies. That's how you hold people accountable. You go vote. So go vote. Polls are open across this province right now that I live in. Wide open. Election Canada's advanced polls all over the place. Go vote. And when you do vote, do yourself a favor and vote for who you want. And let that be your testament. There's a lot of people walking around going, you're voting for the wrong person. Vote strategically. While I don't want to take anything away from that movement, I do want to say this. It's not for anybody to decide who you vote for. It's for you to decide after you educate yourself as to who the best person is to vote for. Now, that creates a problem. The problem is this. There really aren't very many good people to vote for. So you got to stay local. You got to educate yourself. And you got to vote for the human being that you think would be the best human being to lead other human beings. You can't vote for a guy that's mobbed up. You cannot vote for a lady who all she wants to do is complain. You cannot vote for a guy whose previous government absolutely fucked us. Because they all take turns just trying to stick it in, right? Don't let them stick it in anymore. Vote for who you want to lead human beings. Vote for someone with values. Vote for someone with courage. Vote for someone with wisdom. Vote for someone who believes in justice and temperance. Vote for a leader. That's leadership. Just because a guy likes business doesn't make him a leader. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It makes him a follower of money, of other people's money to get some for himself. That's exactly what Doug Ford is. So I would never tell you who to vote for or who you should vote for strategically. Any of that stuff. Nothing. However, I would encourage you to take this election seriously in this province. And I really, really mean that. In every province, across Canada, and if you're in the United States and you're listening to this, everybody's trying to hijack your vote. Everybody's trying to convince you that a reality that you see is not the reality that you're seeing. It's the reality that you see. What you see is real. The things they tell you are not, right? When Doug's like, everybody loves me. It's not true. 70% of the province does not want him back as premier. When he's like, all the union guys, I got them all sponsored and promoting me. They're all on my side. That's a lie. 3 out of the 3 biggest unions, which is like 700,000 people aren't supporting him. It's like a bunch of little podunk shitty unions. The only reason why they're doing it is the dude is mobbed up. He's buddies with all those unions. That's how he gets unions at buildings to let him use that trespass act so we can whoop some ass. Simple. I got way more too. But it's not an election thing. It's a values thing to me. So do yourself a favor. educate, vote. Values. Human beings, not businesses, not policies. Like, listen, we just talked about rates across this country, internet rates, and how the government, Trudeau just hosted us. It's not going to change my life one bit. Might have to get an internet provider, but whatever. Doug Ford becomes the next premier. Andrea Horvath, Stephen Del Duca, not going to change my life one bit. I'm still going to do what I got to do on a daily basis to thrive, survive, get better at life. And I would suggest you do too. But stand up for the things you think are accurate. Stand up for the right thing. Stand up for people, not fucking institutions. We talked about this yesterday. Do not stand up for institutions. These institutions are just here to take advantage and manipulate you. That is the truth. So, what do? Vote your conscience. Don't vote a strategy. Don't vote for someone else. Vote your conscience. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a great day. Don't forget to say hi to our friends and sponsors at Easy Auto Financial. Go to easyautofinancial.ca if you're looking to buy a car. They've got financing. Don't charge you for it. It's all turnkey. They'll put you in touch with the dealer in the car that you want. And that financing is free. No one else does that. Just easyautofinancial.ca. Check them out today. Also, our friends at Domination dominate with your content by using these guys. They're incredible. DMNTN.com. We use them to produce our promos, and it does it in like minutes instead of hours. There's literally no heavy lifting. It's AI. You feed in one file, you get 72 promos, no time at all. DMNTN.com. Again, try them today. DMNTN.com. And Ed's Fine Imports is Gitch. Rock those things. Wear those Gitch. I know you want to. Ed's Fine Imports, huge online store, clothing for men and boys. Hard to find clothes for boys. Really, like my kids, it was really hard to find. And this is why I love these guys. Is they've got clothes for young men, which is like impossible. How do you get a kid's belt? It's impossible. Trust me. Anyway, you can get them there. You get really cool clothes there. 34 Heritage jeans, but they're Gitch. They're Gitch is it. GITCH is your promo code. Get a pair, order them, order 3. He'll send you a free pair when you use promo code GET3. These are great underwear. Canadian made. Support my friend Ed. And look good, feel good. EdsFineImports.com. I made that last part up. Totally no one's ever said it either before. That was the first person. Look good, feel good. I made that. Just now, just came up with it. Anyway, have a great day. Have a great week. Really appreciate everybody being here. And I appreciate the support. I saw everybody give Karima yesterday and today, and continue to do that. At Karima Rules is where you can find her. Advocacy.com is where you can find her as well. That is the name of her website. And Michael Geist, his website, michaelgeist.ca. Go check it out. Smart guy. And he's trying to take care of us with internet rates and wholesale bullshit. So go there. He's literally trying to protect free speech in Canada online. michaelgeist.ca. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.